Hey there guys, welcome to an interview with a man who needs very little introduction if you happen to know about the Forza Horizon series. It's Ralph Fulton. So we're here today at the, not the McLaren Technology Centre, it's the
McLaren Thought Leadership
Centre. And we've been lucky enough to get some hands-on time with Forza Horizon 4. How are you finding the place, the location, all this?
It's pretty sensational, isn't it?
It's massive.
I love to do a bit of thought leadership. This just seems like the perfect place.
It's a lovely place to go.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Horizon 4. It's set in Britain.
It is. Yes.
Why?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I think if you were to go back in time 2 years and tell me that the next Horizon game would be set in Britain, I probably wouldn't believe you. That's kind of the journey we went on at the start of this project. They all kind of start the same, like the development of a new Horizon game. We always, the first big decision we have to make is where we're going to set the game. And we cast the net wide. We look at a whole, array of.
There must have been a big list because it was Colorado to start with, and then we went to Europe. We had Italy and France, and then recently we had Australia, Britain. There were rumours online about it going to Japan, all debunked. What are your thoughts on that? Because personally, I wanted it in Britain from the start, when I heard the speculation. There's a video out there for proof. But no, there were a lot of people saying Japan, and in regards to your comment about saying being in London, I'm guessing it's the same kind of answer. If you two built up, it'd be...
So, I think, I'm a huge fan of Japan as a country. I think it's got really iconic sort of visual style. I get why people, obviously it's got a really sort of identifiable, unique car culture as well. I get why people would be excited by that. If I'm honest, it was never really in the reckoning for this game. That's not to say it could never happen in the future. But I mean, the thing I say a lot, probably in response to some people saying, I've heard like, oh, are you going to run out of places? You set Horizon, which I kind of find it a little bit absurd. Horizon could really be anywhere. Horizon could, as long as it's beautiful, as long as there's beautiful scenery, there's great roads to drive on, the Horizon Festival could be there. So who knows what happens in the future? But getting back to Horizon 4 and Britain, like I said, it was kind of a surprising one. Here's how it happened. First of all, during that sort of initial debate, the research and debate process that we go through, we argue over the relative merits of any number of different locations. A couple of people in the studio did a brilliant job of championing Britain.
So they pitched it to you?
Absolutely. And they did a brilliant job of, sort of trying to address those unconscious biases that we have living in a country. And you kind of, it's easy to forget the merits of the place you live, right? Because it's every day, it's humdrum, They did a great job of really kind of snapping us out of that, reminding us that the country we live in is beautiful, it's got a history like few other places, it is incredibly varied, from England to Scotland. So that happened and kind of started to change minds within the studio, and at the same time, a completely different team were away thinking about a problem that we've tried to solve before, which is, can you do dynamic seasons in an open world? Now, that doesn't happen in open world games, and there's a very, very good reason. It's really, really hard. It takes, what you basically have to do is find a way that it's not basically building 4 times as much, because that suddenly becomes impossible, right?
As I was going to say about the map, it's roughly the same size as Horizon 3, if not a little bit bigger. There's more explorable areas. Now, was there a moment where you thought, right, we can either make the map for Horizon 4 bigger, or we do seasons, you get 4 maps in one, if that makes sense? So,
and that's probably like a misconception that's worth addressing. That was never really like an option, like a fork in the road. Oh, we could make it 4 times as big, or we could do seasons. The secret to doing seasons, which this separate sort of tech R&D group cracked, was being able to build a world which changes completely, like on a per asset basis, with each passing season, and do it through smart tools and pipeline improvements and authoring improvements, kind of the unglamorous side of game development that nobody really goes out and talks about. You know, people love to talk about fancy rendering technologies and things you can put a catchy name to, but really this was just about solving a whole host of really difficult problems in smart ways, and that's what this team came back to us and said, we can do it. We think if the whole team comes together, we can do it. And suddenly when you think about doing Britain, which is an incredibly seasonal country, and honestly I think if we weren't doing seasons we wouldn't have done Britain. Because Britain in summer...
Well, when you think of the other three locations, it wouldn't really like snow in America, or like it obviously happens in Europe, but Australia is.
Well, exactly. We did think about seasons on 3, but you know.
Well, you got Brisbane into that.
That's true.
Which,
but certainly Australia does not have distinct seasons in the way that we do. But as soon as these two things were on the table at the same time, we could do Britain and we could do all 4 seasons. It just felt like they were the perfect ideas, and I think everybody saw that and really got behind it.
Yeah. Now, of course, seasons is one of the new additions to the game. Along with you brought back many fan requested features. I believe the auction house was brought back in Horizon 3, came back to Horizon 7, back again in this.
Yes.
Now, the replay tools. This is something that my channel's more aimed on. I did a video on this quite recently, and it's about a feature that I was curious to see what people would say online, see if it would cause a bit of a discussion. And it was on a video editor tool or stuff. Now I know, of course, you can use the rewind feature, and you can use your pan across, and you've got your close-ups. Is there, not a launch, but perhaps down the line with future updates, would there be any chance of there being a possible editor in Horizon to make short films, or just something like that? Because a lot of AAA games seem to be adding these features now, of course.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the thing I can say is that, and you're right to sort of, to note, not at launch, but in the future, that's very much part of our long-term plan for Forza Horizon 4, is that the game we launch with is the game we launch with, and we will continue to support it, we'll continue to add to it, enhance it.
Because this will be the longest supported Horizon game yet.
It will be, yes, and also by the most people as well. You know, that's something that I think is a very modern thing in games, and I think is also very pro-consumer. Like it's good for players that the team doesn't just move on and do the next thing, but sticks around to continue adding value to the game that people are invested in.
Yeah.
So yes, there will be lots that come to Forza Horizon 4 over the next whatever period. Certainly more than 12 months, and hopefully much longer than that. What those things are, what that roadmap looks like, is not something I can talk about right now.
Of course.
But certainly part of our plan is to not just listen to, but have a dialogue with our community all the way through that process. And I think if there was anything that our community were yelling for, that they felt would be a really good addition, then that's something that we
I must compliment Playground for the feedback. It's clear that you listen, and as someone who obviously plays the game, it's fantastic to see a lot. So that's a personal thank you from me.
It's great to hear. Thank you.
But last year I also had the pleasure of talking to Dan Greenwald about Forza 7, and one of my fan favourite features from Motorsport 4 was car football.
Right. Yeah.
Now, of course, I asked him that question last year, any chance of coming back to the Motorsport series, and he said never say never. And then he spoke about Horizon, saying a lot of the fan tag games are in Horizon. So I'll ask you the same question: any chance of possibly a mini game, something like that?
So it is something we talk about, and we've talked about it more than once on more than one project.
Because a British car show in Britain did that, so
I recall. Yes. And this is just like off the top of my head. I think for me the bar has probably been raised since Top Gear did that thing. Motorsport 4 had that feature. Because I don't know if you've heard of this game called Rocket League.
Yeah, I love Rocket League.
Yeah,
that's that, but on turned to 11. It's
exactly. But I mean, I think what they've done is is take the car football concept
and they've made it their
completely owned it. Have they, you know, in doing that one thing brilliantly, moved the bar up to the point where we maybe wouldn't attempt it?
Okay, yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it, because there were issues with it when it was in motorsport. You'd usually get stuck in a corner, like 5 cars crashing into each other.
It was never expansive football.
No, you can see why they never brought it back, but it was a fan favourite feature because I think it was just so much fun.
Yeah.
And of course with the mini games in Horizon, it's just
So I think if I was to take like a more general question from what you're talking about, like maybe move it away from specifically car football, that kind of fun, offbeat gameplay is I think what Dan was saying is that's a very Horizon thing to do. You know, that's kind of part of our DNA, and I would love to think, in fact I'm pretty certain that those are the sort of things that we're certainly be investing to bring in over the next couple of years.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for this chat today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Horizon 4, do you want to do all the plugs for that?
Horizon 4 is out on Xbox and Windows 10 on October 2nd, and if you're an Ultimate Edition owner, you can play early access on the 28th, I want to say. And it's an Xbox Game Pass on October 2nd, day and date, yes.
You heard it from him first. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.